August 30th, 2025. Well, I guess this will be the last video of the month here. Um, Big development today, of course, very big development, is the, the appeals court for the Circuit of D.C. That's the special appeals court in D.C. that handles that circuit. It has ruled that Trump's tariffs are illegal. And of course, that's actually not completely unexpected, really. I think that the lower court had already had come to that conclusion. And of course, with all the Democrat judges and all that are around, what this will ultimately mean is a whole other issue. The actual ruling was basically based on the idea of claiming that there was not an emergency, and he was using emergency powers to do this. So essentially, they're saying that the trade deficit, since it had been in place for a long time, is not an emergency. That's what I think that's the basis of their ruling, as I understand it, and to make it quick and simple for everybody. And the ruling was it was a 7-4 decision of that court en banc. It means that all the judges on the court, I guess, that are actually participating in any case. Ruled together on this, and that's a 7-4 decision, and that would be as opposed to just a 3-judge panel, which is the basic appellate level, and then so this will be the final appeal at that level until you get to the Supreme Court. And so one thing to know about that is that this court is a heavy Democrat slanted court, and it's due to the malfeasance and negligence of the Republican Party in part, because they basically had not been able to fill all the positions there on that court, and decided to quit fighting to get them filled. I think this is during the Bush years, Bush W. That is, not the older man, so to speak, and therefore. They decided, well, they didn't have that many cases anyhow, so you really didn't need to or something. And so they left these things vacant. And then, of course, when Obama got in, and then Harry Reid decided that he was going to eliminate the filibuster requirement threshold of 60 votes for all presidential appointees except for the Supreme Court, which says, and then they were able to fill all those positions that were remaining with Democrats. And so this may not be a fair read on where the Supreme Court's going to go. I mean, there were 4 votes in favor against this decision, in favor of what Trump was doing, or at least willing to allow it to happen. So that's the big one, and we'll of course see what occurs next. Pretty clearly, they're going to appeal it to the Supreme Court, and I think what Trump's going to try for, I would think, would be to get the Supreme Court to stay the decision pending the actual opinion coming down, which might come down maybe, who knows, even as late as next June probably. But if they stay the decision, then the tariffs could remain in place. And remember that of course they did give them some time, I think, sometime in October. That they would remain in place until then, giving him time to appeal. So we'll see what occurs. This is going to be, obviously, if it happens, it'll be a big blow to the prestige of the United States, showing that we're really at kind of at conflict with each other in such a major way. And after all these deals have been negotiated with foreign countries, and then all of a sudden we say, well, they're completely invalid. That would not be a good look, would it? So anyhow, that's and also there are other measures or laws under which Trump could reinstate tariffs also if this fails under the emergency law. Although he may not be as able to do it as comprehensively, perhaps. I don't know. At any rate, that's kind of where we are on that one, and so we'll have to wait for further developments. If you like these videos, please give me a like, you can subscribe, click the bell for notifications, or you can follow me on Rumble at the address description below. But we need more. We only need 3 more to get to 100. Come on, let's have some more subscriptions here. So yeah, so that's we'll have to be waiting for that one. That's a big one, but so it goes. There's another judge that's gone off and tried to put some kind of a temporary hold on Trump deporting illegal immigrants again. So there we go again. I don't know if this one has any more validity than the other ones that have been overturned, but it seems like they keep on doing this. Well, that's another one I think will probably get overturned as well. Um, so at any rate, also Trump is now talking about that given his success on the D.C. crackdown, by putting National Guard troops and federal officers in there to round up all the troublemakers, then he's thinking about expanding this to other cities like Chicago. And of course, Governor Pritzker and the Chicago mayor have voiced strong opposition. We'll see if that really happens. I've kind of touched briefly on that in my last video that this is a bigger thing to handle than D.C. is. And the problem you're still having in D.C., I think, is you may have trouble with a resistance of the local residents being in grand juries of actually enforcing the law properly because, it's a very partisan town, overwhelmingly Democrat, and all the radical actors have stirred things up. So, we'll have that dilemma as always. And under federal law, you have to have a grand jury to get an indictment. And if the grand juries are rebellious and won't go along with the prosecutor, usually they're pretty putty in the prosecutor's hands, but in this case, maybe not. Well, that's something else to keep an eye on. So on some positive news, Elon Musk, I think his 10th flight test on his big rocket, the heavy lift Starship combination or whatever they call it, has been successful, and he's pretty much accomplished, I think, all the goals he intended to in that mission. So after some big setbacks for a while, I think he's back on track with a success here. And of course, this plays into our plan to land somebody on the moon within a couple of years here. I think the Artemis 2 mission is pretty much on track so far for next year, probably in the spring. But the Artemis 3, where they want to land on the moon, is lacking a moon lander. And of course, we've adopted the idea of using a variant of the Starship to be the moon lander. And of course, that means the Starship has to be developed first. A special variant of it has to be developed to land on the moon. And I think we also have to have an unmanned test of that before we send humans there. So this will be another issue. Meanwhile, the Chinese supposedly are pushing ahead for their moon program, although I don't think we get enough information on exactly their status in this country. I think news in this country is often lacking for where it ought to be. So hopefully we can get things on board, but I'm a little bit nervous because some of the big milestones are this on-orbit refueling, and that's never been done with large cryogenic tanks before. This will be a whole new thing if it's pulled off, so we can hope for the best. So anyhow, on the lighter side, I guess there's a lot of discussion of Taylor Swift's marriage to Kelsey there. That's going to be interesting. Whether that goes through or not, to me, it's going to get tied up a lot in the how's the prenup doing? I think that may be one of the big issues. Have the lawyers worked out a deal yet, or are they really just going to go in like normal people? And because there's a big economic wealth this disparity there than most marriages. This is pretty big. So although he's pretty well-to-do, she's a lot more well-to-do. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And we can hope for the best there, I guess. I did notice that Gavin Newsom, although he's trying to play up something about Taylor Swift there, turns out he doesn't know any of her songs at all. I'm way ahead of him on that one. So anyhow, so let's see how that all goes. So at any rate, so that's kind of, and of course the controversy continues. I guess it's been resolved over the Cracker Barrel debate. The new logo is out and the old logo is back. And I hear one of the original founders, who's 93 years old, came out and made statements critical of the attempt to do the new logo. So the old man in the barrel is going to win, and we'll stay with that. apparently they spent a fair amount of money designing this new effort and then had to scrap it. Reminds me years ago of the new Coke versus the what at the time was called the old Coke, and then the Coke Classic, and now I think it's Original Taste. But at any rate, the way these marketeers kind of can mess up. I guess they were aiming for a younger demographic and thought the old man didn't sell it, but I guess there are too many fans of the old man to for their new approach to happen. And I didn't really see it as big a deal as it apparently turned out. So, at any rate, so I'll be wrapping this up for this time, and of course, as always, I'll be posting this on YouTube and Rumble, and the addresses of my social media accounts are on in the description below. And of course, I most frequently post little rebuttals of Democrats and so forth, and other comments I have on X, and sometimes on other social media. So, all for this time.